Hi, I'm Autumn and I wanted to welcome you to this week of The Experience. We're so glad to have you. If you would just leave a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. Before we get started, I would encourage you to join our Facebook group that's linked in the description box. That group is dedicated just to The Experience and having discussions about each week's episode, our takeaways, our answers to the challenge questions, and just a way to connect with others in fellowship and get to know each other. So go ahead and join that group, and also go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss a future episode of The Experience. The agenda for this episode includes a message from Pastor Kimberly. She will be speaking about hope and beauty and how we often overlook that beauty that God has given us. After that, she will pose a few challenge discussion questions for us to answer. After we read those challenge questions, there will be one song led by the Bridge Band. That's our worship team from our satellite campus, The Bridge. And if online worship isn't really your style, you can go ahead and skip that, and we will see you next week.
Hi, I'm Pastor Kimberly, and I'm joining you today from Carrollton Country Flowers, located on N Lisbon St here in Carrollton, Ohio. And we're gathered in front of this beautiful fall display, and all of this behind us, as you can see, are just wonderful temptation treats for our eyes as we're coming into that fall season, and we're all thinking about decorating our homes and all that is going to mean. But I wanted to talk with you a little bit today about how unexpected God can be, as we know that we have a wonderful God and an amazing God. But Luke chapter 12 tells us, as Jesus is speaking about the beautiful flower, the lily, and I think so many of us can relate to the lily. It says, consider the lilies and how they grow. They neither toil nor spin, but I tell you, not even Solomon in all of his glory clothed himself like one of these. But if God so clothes the grass in the field, which is alive today and tomorrow is thrown into the furnace, how much more will he clothe you, you men of little faith? And I think about that passage, and as we're standing here in this beautiful shop surrounded by all of these wonderful temptations, the story is a love story. It's a story that's depicting Christ's love for his bride, for his church, for each and every one of us, and also the love that we are to have back for him. And I think in our world today, we often struggle with that love, that relationship, and we struggle with feeling worthy, and we struggle with feeling loved. But this young woman that is in our scripture today stood out among all of the others, not just because of her outer beauty, but because of the fragrance and the beauty that was changed by the love of Jesus Christ. And that store returned her to him in a relationship, and therefore that love that he had for her, she also had for him. And I think about all of these beautiful things that are here around me this morning. But it's also not just the beautiful things that we can see. I think about the beautiful fragrance that I'm smelling right now as they're cutting roses and putting together wonderful flower arrangements. Flowers are so similar to that story. Is we fall in love with the outer beauty, but then as we come closer and we get a whiff of that wonderful fragrance, we fall in love with their smell and their scent as well. And that's what God's love does in each and every one of us. He loves us with such a great love and such a power that he sent his one and only Son to die on the cross for us, that we may be rescued, that we may be changed, that we may be considered whole, and that we may return to him in full bloom. His beauty becomes reflected in and through each and every one of us. How often do we take that love of God for granted, just like we so often take the beautiful flowers for granted? As we see the flowers that bloom in the spring, and as they go through that summer season, and as we're entering into fall and we see the sunflowers that have come to fruition, how often do we take that beauty for granted? We like to put God in a box, and we forget that he is a God of unexpected things, a God that can do all things. Matthew chapter 19 says, with people, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. God's love changes everything. And when Jesus was born, God did the impossible as he sent his one and only Son here on earth for us. He took our death, he took our punishment, and he died, but on that third day he rose from the dead. He arose. How unexpected that is, just like God, that unexpected God, the things that he can do for us. And because of the beauty that God has for us, and because of all of this beauty that we're surrounded by, there's hope. There's hope. So even during the winter when things seem gloomy, and as we're coming into this fall season and we think, oh, everything that is beautiful is about to leave us, there's hope, because that beauty can be found deep inside of each and every one of us. The beauty that we find in the items beside us are just one example of all things that God can do. And so when we're heading into a difficult season, remember the hope, remember the beauty, remember the love that Christ has for us. And God is calling us to draw nearer and nearer to him. As James chapter 4 says, draw near to God and he will draw near to you. So I encourage you today to find his beauty, relish in his love, and share that love for others. So my question for you today is, where have you seen the beauty and maybe overlooked it? Where have you needed that hope and God has provided and maybe you've overlooked it? What is the hope that we have today? The hope is that Jesus Christ loves you. He calls you to bloom where you are planted, just as these beautiful flowers do. Bloom where they are planted. Where is your hope today? Is your hope in Jesus? And where have you possibly not paid attention to where God is doing the unexpected in your life? God bless.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. And all my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, well, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest nights. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. With my life laid down, surrendered now, I give you everything. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, well, I will sing of the goodness of God. Well, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Thank you for joining us for this week of The Experience. We'd love to have you. Don't forget to join the Facebook group linked in the description box so we can really get to know you and you can connect with others in that way. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss anything. Thank you and God bless.